To order the Village of Gurnee Planning and Zoning Board for this Wednesday, March 21st, 2018. Could we have roll call, please?
Bow.
Here.
Garrity.
Here.
McFarland.
Here.
Nordentoff.
Here.
Path.
Here.
Pasak.
Here.
And Sula.
Present. We do have a quorum. Actually, we are at full steam here, which is wonderful. Would everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item on the agenda is a public hearing for a zoning map amendment north of Windsor Court on Route 21. Clara, staff report, please.
The Legionnaire Memorial Home Association, owner of the Gurnee American Legion, has requested a zoning map amendment to rezone the subject property from R2 Single Family Residential District to R1 Single Family Residential District. The subject property consists of approximately 1.2 acres and is located on the east side of North Route 21, immediately north of the Windsor Court office complex, which is located at 495, 501, and 505 North Route 21. The subject property is designated as office service in the Village of Gurnee's comprehensive land use plan and is surrounded by residentially zoned property to the north, commercially zoned property to the south and west, and unincorporated open space to the east. The Planning and Zoning Board's review in this matter is merely associated with the requested R1 zoning district and not with any specific use on the property. As with all zoning map amendment petitions, the Planning and Zoning Board will make a recommendation that will be forwarded to the Village Board for their determination. The applicant is in attendance to present his petition and answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you. As this is a public hearing, I would ask you please stand and be sworn in by our acting village attorney.
Yes, sir. Can you raise your right hand, please? You swear that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there anything that you would like to add to what Clara has mentioned? If so, we need to find a microphone. I think it was, yes.
Does that work?
Yeah, if you could
Yeah.
just please state your name.
Yeah, I'm James Husel. I live at 116 Suda Drive in Gurnee, Illinois. I'm presently the commander of Post 771 here in American Legion in Gurnee. And we're requesting to rezone the property from an R2 to an R1. When we looked at the land, all the land around there has been zoned commercial. It was kind of interesting that this one was zoned residential. So that's the request. We own the property immediately to the north, which is R2 right now. We're not requesting any rezoning on that right now. I don't foresee that changing.
Where's the other property that you see?
So this one is for that rectangular parcel right there.
Parcel in question is this guy.
Yes.
Okay, but then he mentioned that they own.
They also own to the north.
Oh, to the north. Okay.
Yeah, we own the land just to the north of there, plus the ball fields, and then our building is further north.
I knew about the
yeah.
ball fields, but I
Yeah.
wasn't sure how many lots are
Yeah.
in between. Any questions or comments from members of the Planning and Zoning Board? I'm personally kind of on the fence on this one. I think of R1 as being our most restrictive zoning district, but I also see that the comp plan envisions commercial, so I'm open for some discussion here. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
I agree with you exactly on the comprehensive plan, but also, you know, when I'm looking at this and the size of the parcel, I mean, there's no adjacent R1. You know, I don't know how this is not spot zoning. I mean, this is very much analogous to the parcel that we had that was on Washington, that, you know, the entire area was residential and they wanted to come in and rezone it as whatever it was, office. To me, this just, from a zoning standpoint, doesn't make any sense.
Well, the one difference is, though, that it's going from one residential district to another residential.
No,
it's being requested. I shouldn't say it's going.
No, and I will
That does make it different than the other matter that you referenced.
I understand
Yeah.
that, and I will acknowledge that, absolutely. My concern, though, is this is almost like, and I'm not saying that this is their motivation, but it's kind of like getting the foot in the door. Well, we'll rezone this R1, and then, then we've got a basis to rezone all the property that we own to the north to R1, and then we can start, I don't know, building homes or residential care facilities or whatever. And again, this whole area is supposed to be, office, commercial, service, so.
Okay.
I mean, those are my comments.
Yeah, I mean,
so.
just, if it was vacant property that was being annexed into the village, by default, it would automatically go to R1 as our most restrictive zoning. So, I mean, they're asking for the most restrictive zoning that we have, and that's.
Correct. But chances are, if it came in under an annexation situation, it would be automatically rezoned to something else that was not R1, unless they wanted to build homes, because it'd come in as part of a project, so.
Ergo, that's where I'm on the fence. Okay, Mr. Garrity.
So I don't know, Mr. Chairman, you or David, somebody comment a little bit here, or the applicant on, why we're looking at going from R2 to R1. What is the benefit? I just kind of wanted to hear maybe from the horse's mouth.
Well, we got to be careful here because our purview is whether or not it's appropriate for it to be R1 instead of R2, regardless of stated intent, because in this meeting, there can't be a commitment to a specific use.
All right.
So
we could review again what are the
So
differences?
our purview is whether or not any and all R1 uses are appropriate for that particular parcel.
And
Dave, do you want to get to that?
Yeah, to kind of answer both of your questions, by right, as of now, with an R2 zoning district, they could put probably 2 to 3 homes on the lot, as well as senior living facilities, would be allowed as part of a special use permit. So there's a myriad of residential uses that could be allowed on the property. By rezoning the south lot to an R1, that density goes down to 1 residential unit. However, with the R1 designation, it does open up the agricultural uses, which is what the use that they are desiring to utilize on this property. But it's not guaranteed that it would always have to be agricultural use. They would have the right to put 1 house on it.
And now they could put
Or currently, they could put 2 to 3.
2 to 3. Mr. Paff.
To me, it just seems like a win. I mean, if they could put 3 houses there now and we can change it to where they could only put 1, I don't see a downside to that. I mean, I get it, they're not putting a house on it at the moment, but I don't see the downside.
Okay.
For me, I'm okay with it.
All right. Mr. Nordentoff?
Yeah, there's just a couple different things that I want to bring up. And it doesn't matter if we're talking about special uses or zoning map amendments and that type of thing. We always have a set of standards that we have to measure everything against. And I think it's appropriate to at least discuss 2 of these that I look at and question whether it does match and meet the standards. And that's why I think we have to have the debate. But let me make sure I get the right one here. Number 5 states the suitability of the subject property for the purpose for which it is presently zoned. So right now it's presently zoned for residential, and I think it could be brought into question whether that is suitable at this stage in the development of the corridor, whether that is appropriate zoning, even if it's left at R2. Certainly if it's left at R1, still a residential use, you have to look at that and say, well, given the commercial nature of the corridor at this point, is that suitable? And I don't know if I agree that it is. The next one I want to bring up is number 7, that states the consistency of the proposed amendment with the comprehensive plan and any adopted land use policies. And I respectfully disagree that the rezoning to R1 necessarily matches the comprehensive plan, because if I understand correctly, the comp plan dedicates this corridor along Milwaukee as an office or commercial use. So if we're asked to measure this against the standards, I don't know that under the circumstances we can say across the board that it meets all those standards.
I agree. Josh, did you have anything that you wanted to say?
I don't have anything specific other than just sort of echo the parallel that was just made regarding the property on Washington, where it was just a sort of a spot rezoning. And this looks to me like the same thing, where we would be just going in reverse, where it seems like we would want to go more towards commercial rezoning versus more restrictive residential rezoning. And if you just look at the C2 to the north, C2 to the south, 0 houses or residential homes in that whole entire area except across the highway there. I think it's the wrong direction that we should be rezoning it. Not more restrictive residential, but more open commercial maybe. Just my opinion.
Okay. I just want to make sure we hear from everybody, and then what I'll do is I'll open the floor to the public as a formality, and then we can come back and have some more discussion. Dick, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, not anything that hasn't already been said.
Okay.
I concur with most of the discussion that we've had.
Okay. As a matter of policy, I just need to open the floor to the public. Obviously, there's nobody here from the public that would care to make a comment. I'm going to close the floor to the public. Let me ask a question to staff. If we were to recommend a path that takes it down a commercial rezoning as opposed to residential, is there an avenue through the special use process that could fulfill the petitioner's needs?
In terms of agriculture?
Well, I'm thinking more creatively vocational, because it seemed to me I was understanding that the proposed use was more, not so much to make a farm, but to make an educational institution. And we do allow educational institutions in some commercial zonings. There's several, as an example, in the Tri-State Business Park.
Community garden here, but we allow a community garden, but I don't see educational is not permitted in C1 or C2.
Well, it must be as a special use.
Maybe.
Okay. Because we have them.
That's what I was, huh? Ah, okay.
So
My educational facility, yeah, if it was a C2, it would be a special use.
So what I'm asking, is there a way to meet the spirit of the comprehensive plan as well as to find a vehicle that gives the petitioner the opportunity to reasonably pursue what they'd like to do?
Yeah, if you went to C, you'd have options.
Well, I mean, I happen to agree on.
Actually, I'm asking Dave and
I'm sorry.
Claire just to help me out on this one a little bit.
I need to, give me a moment, I'm just pulling up the zoning ordinance.
Okay. I'm trying to find a win-win.
are you trying to find the
That's where I
definition
was
of
going. That's
vocational?
what I was going to say to you.
Okay.
I just didn't know if that was a possibility.
Well, education, no, that's not going to work. Education, vocational is what he'd have to go with.
That's what he was.
That's what I was
bringing up.
suggesting. Yeah.
And that would work.
Special use.
Did you cheat and look at this?
Huh?
Did you cheat and look at this?
Well, I know what we have in town.
Okay.
So the question, could we make a recommendation to rezone a commercial given
Well, they
the
would
notice
also be
that's out
allowed
there?
to run a farmer's market out of it after they grew the vegetables, so. That would work. If-
So we'd have to ask for them to resubmit.
Can't restaurants grow their own food if they want? Like a little garden?
I don't think we can have restaurants in R2, though.
No, I'm just saying if it's commercial.
Does the public notice or say anything about it, or any other relief as we see fit?
I looked at the map last night, and that's exactly what I thought.
I think we need to look at the public notice.
Prairie.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks like we got an L train on the south side.
Taking a look at the vocational definition and vocational use, the only concern is that if the structures are built as an educational facility, and the educational aspect leaves, then we're left with some non-conforming structures. When I initially looked at this, I felt that the R1 was probably the least objectionable method of doing this, because it is the most restrictive zoning district. As far as the concept of spot zoning, there's still both single-family residential districts, just a density aspect is the only differentiator.
Right.
As
Yeah,
well as,
I'm not concerned about the spot zoning aspect of it.
we could do it as a C2 special use permit with the vocational education, but those structures would be tied to that type of use. And if the educational aspect of it would ever depart, they would not be allowed to utilize them for just a sheer agricultural use or to create crops for a farmer's market or any other type of use. It would be strictly for the educational aspect.
Okay.
They could do a farmer's market under C1 or C2.
Which is just the sale of product. It's not the growing of product.
Oh, right. Okay.
Are greenhouses allowed in C2?
Commercial? Testing my knowledge of
I know, I apologize, I should have called
We don't have
first.
anything specific regarding that.
greenhouse, nursery,
No, this-
retail is a special use in the C2.
Okay. So we wouldn't
But this
necessarily,
isn't necessarily a retail.
Yeah, there's more in the back of one of them there.
but to your point, if for some reason the education vocational aspect didn't survive, there still is another viable use
Yes.
within
True.
permittable C2 uses. Okay,
They would
all
have
right,
to,
okay,
they would
not,
have to garner a new special use for that type of a use.
okay. Now the legal technical question, is the public hearing notice worded loosely enough for us to consider other zoning recommendations other than R1?
Why are we doing this?
Don't we just have to do it up or down?
I would just say
I want to
no.
do an up or down. I don't understand why we're doing this.
I would be reluctant to switch it, because I
Okay.
think it was advertised as a rezoning to R1.
As a rezoning to R1, okay, so we don't have that standard
You'd have
catch.
to republish.
Okay, all
Plus,
right.
you would have the special use public hearing as well.
Mr. Garrity.
So, I mean, just, on the record, I agree with, I believe it was David that said that, number 5, the suitability of the subject property for the purposes for which it is presently zoned. To me, the suitability, it doesn't matter if it's commercial, if it's C2, if it's R1, I have concerns about the suitability. So,
Suitability in what regard?
of that particular, to me, that's, I mean, I don't want to get too much into it, but the suitability of that specific, purpose.
See,
But
purpose is not the purview here. The appropriateness of zoning district is our only purview here. And we're being asked to consider a more restrictive residential.
Then why are we
Or-
trying to fit it into another box, I guess? Maybe I'm confused. You can just
I
kind
guess
of-
I was trying to come
Right.
up with another solution for
Right.
what the petitioner
But are we
wants to do.
supposed to be doing that?
Well, probably not.
Right.
But I took some artistic license, I'm sorry. Okay, any other comments? Mr. Nordentoff?
So at this point, are we left with the option of either asking for the petitioner to consider amending their petition, or are we just going to put this up to a recommendation?
Well, I mean,
vote?
the way the public notices, and staff or legal can correct me if I'm wrong, we have to have an up or down vote on whether or not to allow a rezoning from R2 to R1. Now, if we voted down, could we give some friendly guidance outside of a motion? Absolutely. Correct? Okay.
So we need a motion.
Right, right.
It's got to be in the affirmative.
I know.
Yeah, it always has to be in the affirmative. Yeah, we do it in the affirmative.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the request for rezoning from the current rezone, or the current R2 to R1.
Oh, yeah, and before we do that, is there anything else you'd like to add, sir?
No, I mean, if you can't go into the use case, then if that's not part of your decision, I do know that, the land is, we have no plans on building on it right now, any kind of homes or anything like that. It's going to be used for, good purposes, let's just put it that way.
Okay, thank you.
So motion is made.
So can you just repeat the motion, please?
Sure. I'll make a motion that we approve the rezoning of the
We send a recommendation to the village board.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
To rezone the subject property from R2 to R1 as requested.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Can we have roll call, please?
Bow,
No.
Garrity,
No.
McFarland,
No.
Nordentoff,
No.
Paff,
Aye.
Pasak,
No.
and Sula.
No. Motion fails 6-1. Obviously, the next step is the village board. The village board obviously has the ability to go in a different direction if they so choose. Friendly guidance, I would encourage you to work with staff to see if perhaps one of the other avenues that we talked about might be a route that gets you to where you want to be, as well as keeps us intact with the comprehensive plan. But obviously, that's just a non-binding, just friendly conversation. Okay. All right. Thank you. Next meeting on the calendar is scheduled for April 4th. Are we going to have a meeting?
As of right now, we don't have any public hearing items, but we could get
get
minor sign
administrative.
or something
Okay.
like that in before then.
Okay. Formality. Open the floor for public comment. Closing floor for public comment. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Nordentoff.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pasak. Everybody, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Spring is almost here.